Okay, here we are back on site. Ditcher is down and skimmed. What I did over here is actually stop a ditcher about 1.5 feet from the shower and then screw from there in. So that way you got about 8 to 3/16 pitch going in, so whatever water does splash out, it's going to roll right back into the shower. That's about it. We just got to clean some things up a little bit more around the drain there, wipe everything down, then pre-cut all my curdy, and set the curdy and waterproof everything in. That's about it. Welcome back to the channel, guys. Donnie D here, back at you. So today is going to be the last part of this video series for the curbless shower build on a concrete slab. So in this video, I'm going to show you how I'm actually going to waterproof this whole shower. I'm using slab curdy to basically tie in all the waterproofing around the drain up the sides of the wall. The whole floor will be pretty much waterproof, along with the ditcher on the outside of the shower there. So this thing is, you know, you can flood out really this whole bathroom. Given you don't want to flood it out to start running out the entry door, but you can literally flood out this whole shower and this thing won't ever leak. So what I like to do is, you know, to make your life easier, I like to make my life easier, you know, why not just pre-cut everything? I dry fit everything, pre-cut it. Now, one quick tip I like to give you guys when you're cutting this curdy is that you want to leave it about 1/4 inch shy of the walls, because what happens when you set the curdy, it'll actually stretch out a little bit. So let's say you cut it and you're like a 16 from the wall. When you actually go to set it, it's going to be too tight and you have to pull it up and cut it. So I try to aim, you know, because you have like a 1/2 inch play with the curdy. They say they want you to have a 2-inch overlap. You know, the banding is 5 inches, so you have 2.5 inches each way. In my scenario, it really doesn't matter because I'm hitting everything with 2 coats of liquid Hydro Band after the fact anyway. But if you're just going to use a curdy and you go throughout that, you definitely want that 2-inch overlap. So, you know, if you stay short 1/4 inch of everything, that should give you enough play. So by the time you set it, you should be anywhere from 8 to 3/16 from the areas you originally cut it. But like I said, you know, leave yourself some room, because when you do set it, this stuff will stretch out. So give yourself some room. So I'm going to just go around here, pre-cut everything, and then I'll show you how I'm going along to set everything. Okay, now I am ready to start setting, especially around the drain. I'm going to do that first. Now, I'm working on a mortar bed here, and this was just done the day prior. So it's actually not 100% dry yet, but it's dry enough for me to get in there and do everything. So these mortar beds here, I mean, they're extremely thirsty. So you don't want to spread out your thin set and start setting everything, because it's really going to suck the moisture out of it and the bottom won't be the same, or in worst case, it could actually fail. You really want to wipe everything down just prior to you doing that. So I actually wiped it down once. I'm going to do it again. And then, you know, another good quick step is, which is always important, is you want to key it in, and that'll give it a drink as well. So wipe it down, do the whole thing, key in your substrates. Now a lot of guys, like I said before many times in the past, will not do this, which sure, you don't, I mean, let me just put it this way, it's a lot better to do. A lot of guys won't do it because it's extra step, and I understand where they're coming from, whatnot, but if you really want to get the best bond out of the mortar, really have a long-lasting install, you really can't go wrong keying in things in. So what I actually find, which is cool about when you key in things, is that once you actually bond it to the substrate, it only takes you maybe one, 2 times or so to notch it out, because the thin set's already there, it's bonded. You don't have to keep going back and forth. A lot of times, if you use a notch side, you kind of have to go back and forth because it's not sticking in certain areas. So when you key it in, this makes your life easier. It's going to last longer. You know, in the long run, it's really better for everybody, so you really can't go wrong. So that's what I'm doing here. I'm going to set this curdy that's attached to the drain around here and go from there. Okay, now I have an odd situation here with this pipe, and it's funny because I literally told this plumber to cap these pipes coming out. This is going to be for baseboard heating. I literally told him to cap them. I went to the site prior to everything starting, did the walkthrough, and said, "Listen, buddy, I really need you just to cap the pipes here, you know, because I need to get my waterproofing colors on it." Well, of course, he decided to not listen to me and you know, run his pipes there. So essentially I had to cut the curdy band around here, and then what I did is I took the pipe seals, I had to cut that too. But once I actually set everything, you know, I did have some slices here and there, but what I did is once I set everything, I put some curdy sticks around the top of the pipe there to seal it really well, and then once that all dried, I actually hit everything with Hydroband. So this thing is definitely going to be watertight. But you know, if you do come across a situation like this, and your plumber's there, and you got a good relationship with him. See, the plumber was not my plumber in this job, so the one the client hired, which is fine. But as long as everyone's on the same page, which this guy was not with me, but you know, what are you going to do? So, you know, make sure that they just cap it, that way you can slide over all your pipe seals and you don't really have to cut anything, because then you're kind of compromising waterproofing. Like I said, you know, in my case, I hit everything with Hydroband 2 coats. It really doesn't matter, but in a perfect world, you want to have to do that. So there you go, that's how I'm doing this part, and I'll show you as we go along. What I'm doing here, this is not something you have to do, but the client requested that I do it, which is really not a bad idea. What I did was, you know, this is going to be outside the shower by a few feet, but I'm going to bring it up there about 4 feet or so. And that's just going to be any you know, water that does splash outside the shower on this wall. It'll make it 100% waterproof with the curdy on there. And believe it or not, I mean, I've actually built, this is years back, but I've built plenty of showers that I just green board drywall and just put curdy on them. And I've gone back to jobs where I've done it. This is, you know, 5, 6, 7 years ago, and no issues. And that's what's great about curdy, because it's vapor tight in a residential setting, that you can use it over drywall in a shower and you'll be just fine. You know, we didn't have back then, there was only curdy boards, there's not all these other ones, and you know, it was kind of new thing, so we didn't use it. But you know, foam board is still far superior. You know, if it's up to me, I'm going to use foam board in a shower than drywall, but either one will work. But like I said, foam board is going to be far superior. But anyway, I'm just going to be waterproofing this wall for any splash out, because you know, this shower is actually not going to even have any glass doors on it. So they will have some water that's going to splash out. If I had glass doors on there, this would definitely be overkill, because it would never see water. But in this case, you know, being that it's going to be a curbless shower without doors, and it's more likely going to be someone that's going to be wheeled in here in a wheelchair, they're going to be using a handheld and, you know, kind of spraying water all over the place. This is a real good extra step to take to really make this install last a lifetime, if not more. So just a quick thing here for you. Alright, so now we're actually ready to set the curtain. I'm just going to show you my method of going about. Now, I've done a ton of this, so I'm really comfortable with it, but I like to use, this is, I believe, an 8-inch drywall paper knife, and it's pretty worn on the edges, and I've been using this one for years. It works out great. But essentially what Curdy is, it's like a wallpaper. So I like to start from my center, work it out, and I get right up to the edges, but I don't actually go over the edge. Because if you do, and you need to push it in more, that'll actually kind of like trap it. Plus you won't get the taping knife, you know, cover with inside until you're actually ready. So I like to start from the center, move it over. Now one thing I like to tell you that when you're doing this over drywall, it's no problem. Let's say you're doing it over a mortar bed, which I do a lot of these days. You really want to be careful that you have no pieces of sand or any type of large chunks of aggregate, like anything like that. Because what happens is when you're using these metal taping knives, let's say you run across one of those pieces, like basically it's like, it feels like a rock under there. What it's going to do, it's going to poke through and you have a hole in the Curdy. So, you know, drywall being smooth and foam board, you won't have this issue. But when you do it over mud, you want to make sure you sweep and vacuum and wipe it down real good. Because if you come across a piece and you poke a hole through it, well then you have to cut it out and patch it. And no one wants to do the work twice, right? So just a quick tip, and that's how I do my Curdy. Work from the center out, and once everything is good, if this is on a floor or something, well, really in most case scenarios, what I'll actually do is I'll take my hand, I'll go around and I'll feel for any bubbles or anything before I'm said and done with it. Because believe it or not, in the past I've had some jobs where I did it all, I checked it, but I didn't check it with my hand, just use a knife, and come back the next day and I've noticed there's a blister. I'm like, oh boy. Then I gotta cut it out and patch it, and that's just, you know, extra step. So really just take your time, be real thorough once you get this up there, that it's right where you want it and you got no blisters, nothing like that, and then you'll be good to go. now I got, excuse me, now I got all the curry band around the whole perimeter of the whole bathroom here. So basically I'm just gonna work my way out. Honestly, well, let me rephrase this. Realistically, you do not want to be walking on the curdy. Yes, they say it can do whatnot, but it will dent. Even though it's a small layer of mortar on there, it will dent. It could leave voids from stepping on whatnot. I've seen guys do it, how to fix it, the whole nine. Anyway, I'm obviously weighing down my mud here first with my sponge. I got all my curdy pre-cut, so I'm gonna spread out, basically work my way out of the shower here. Now I have to be doing a little bit of reaching here to do it, but I will actually I'll attempt not to get on the curdy at all. Now if you do have to get on the curdy, what you can do is I like to do is take just a scrap piece of foam board, just kneel on that, and that'll kind of distribute your weight. That way you don't dent it up too quick. But once you pull it off, make sure you don't have any bubbles in there, any dents, you know, smooth them out, whatever you gotta do, and be good to go. Just a quick tip here. What I like to do is actually get the curdy exactly where you want to have it when it's said and done, and then just roll back a section. I use the same method when you're doing vitra, and doing curdy is no different. So get it where you want it when it's said and done, and just roll back a half of it or so, or a section, whatever you feel comfortable with. Set that, and then do the other side, because if the thing, I've seen this like on shows and other videos, they'll spread out the whole thing and then I just lay it on there. If you have to start moving around, you're gonna actually push around the mortar a lot, and you could have voids on there. So you really don't want to be moving around too much. It's only an 1/8 inch of mortar. If you push it down, shift it that way, this way, you could have less coverage, whatnot, could be a lot of issues. So this method will work great. That way you don't have to spread a bunch of mortar and then kind of hover over this thing and try to get it in place. It's going to be a real pain in the neck. So small sections and you'll be good to go. This bathroom is pretty much waterproof. Now I ran the curdy out to here. I didn't have to because I already had a D-truck, but it doesn't hurt. I got 2 layers of waterproof in there. So I'm gonna do is let this cure up for at least 24 hours, and then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna paint liquid hydro band in the vertical corners over there. On all the seams, make sure we have no wicking, and I'll probably just do the whole shower section here to about this seam with hydro band with 2 coats, just to make sure that we got 100% waterproof, no issues at all. So do that, 2 coats. Anywhere, like I said, anywhere the banding meets the banding, I'll do the hydro band all over the perimeter, all that stuff. That's about it. So this shop is almost done. There's a couple layers. That's about it. This shop is nearly complete. We're just doing the prep work here. All we gotta do now is paint some liquid hydro band on. Okay, here we are back on site. Everything is dried up. So I'm gonna do, I'm gonna paint the inside vertical corners so with the hydro band around the whole perimeter, and I might do the whole pan here, at least out to like where the toilet is. We'll see. See how I'm feeling, but yeah, do that 1 coat, let it dry for a few hours, and head with a 2nd coat. All right, that's the 1st coat. I pre-coated those corners. I pre-coated the corners, did everything else, then touched them up lightly again because that's the most critical areas, the corners and the seams. So got everything pretty much painted here. So I'll let this dry for about 2 hours and hit it again. On for our 2nd coat.